There are 5 main components to any comic book: story, pencils, inks, colors, and lettering. After the script for issue 1 was finished, it was time to find the artists. So through a friend of a friend, we tracked down Gavin Smith, and he showed us some of the work he had previously done on a book called Human City, and we were floored. We knew this had to be the guy.
My book Human City was a project that I had created after graduating from the Kubert School, and I did all the writing and art and grade toning and lettering myself, and then self-published it, and then Blue Juice Comics found it and got in touch with me.
When we saw Human City, we saw the amazing things that Gavin had done with black and white. He had done the pencils and inks himself and had designed this world that had a pretty amazing attention to detail.
Ronnie had come up with a pretty good outline of the script and what he wanted for the characters, so when it came time for me to actually draw them for the very first time, he had some very specific looks that he had in mind, so it required a lot of research. When I was first told about the character Bertram, I took to researching and referencing 1960s military dress to try to perfect his look. And I wanted to add those subtle details to the character to make him credible. Originally there were going to be 2 female characters in the Accelerators, but we decided it got too convoluted and we combined elements of both of them to create Alexa. Coming up with the look and outfit for Alexa was fairly easy because Ronnie had a pretty good description of that already in mind. It wasn't too hard to bring her to life when it came time to draw her. Spats was described to me as a 90s kid. I hang out with a bunch of kids that still dress like that, so it was pretty easy to get reference for that. So I asked my friend to model for me so I could give the character a consistent look, because all he does is listen to Weezer and Sonic Youth. When it came to creating the future where the time games are set, I was told by Ronnie to use my imagination and use whatever futuristic stereotypes I want and create my own. So I basically had free reign throughout the entire process. Ronnie called me one day and he told me he wanted to have a character who basically looked like he had an engine or some crazy mechanical wiring going on in the back of his head, and that was it. And he liked what I drew so much that he was like, I want more of these characters. I kind of want them to have this consistent look, and there's supposed to be an army of them. They all have different mustaches too. Bob is the character that's in charge of this world, and despite the name, Bob is a lady. When Ronnie came to me about the character Bob, he wanted her to be a really sexy looking black woman. Bob is a pretty mysterious character. She's very charming and sweet to Spats, but she rules the future and the time games with an iron fist. The first stage of creating the art is the pencils. I make sure I get the storytelling and the pacing and the anatomy and the backgrounds and the settings and the details so that when I go on to the inking stage, I know exactly what I'm doing and I've gotten the hard part out of the way. After penciling, I go on to the inking stage and I go over my original lines with brushes and markers and whatever else I can use to make a black. The inks are always going to vary slightly from the pencils, and I add depth and texture, and I'll really just set the mood with the inks. Working on the Accelerators has actually been pretty fun because it's allowed me just to experiment, do all sorts of things I wouldn't do. It helped me break into comics because now I'm drawing full time and it is my day job. You know, I get to wake up in the morning and just draw books. You know, it's a pretty great feeling.